And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here, taking your calls at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Joining us now in the hot seat is our friend Dave Petzo.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
That was my cue for good morning, right?
It was the day of reckoning for you.
Because we had a bad week?
It was a historically bad week, was it not?
No, not
You
really.
lost like 20% of the market.
Well, not quite. About 5-6%, depends on the index, but yeah. It was not. It was the worst week we've had since early 2016, though.
Well, what happened?
Combination of things. Kevin, I think that the big thing was, of course, the potential trade war, right? So we have some retaliation from China. People are quite concerned what's going on in Washington, D.C. They're concerned about all the turnover. Is Trump, his agenda is fantastic, but is he sane, right? Is he actually, is it possible that he has a realistically contained administration? Can they actually get some things done, or are they going to implode? So there's always that kind of hangs there, and then when we have a potential trade war and we have all these people leaving, it's a concern. Is it negotiation, or is he really going to allow a trade war to accelerate out of control? But then on top of that, because that's not really new news, right? On top of that, though, you've got the Facebook fiasco. We talked about it a little bit last week, but this is now impacting other companies, right? Google, Amazon, other companies, Twitter, that have all of this data on you and I. Are they going to come under more scrutiny? And the answer probably is yes. That is taking a little valuation off of the stocks, and those have been market leaders. Those have been the big guys that have really led the market. So you take out the leadership, and you've got a market that's kind of concerned. So I think it's a combination of all of those things.
Dave Petzo with us, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We take a look, though, at the outlook for the second quarter as we get ready to jump into that. Mm-hmm. Are we going to have more rocky roads? And the president seems to be... why would we, he said that he was going to do tariffs, and why the big surprise that he lived up to his campaign promise. You've covered this for, since he was a candidate on Money Matters. This is what he said he was going to do,
right,
and he did it.
Right, so let's freak out. The answer is I think that the market won't. They will settle back in, but it also depends on the depth of what we would call a trade war or tariffs. So how big a deal is this going to be? Is it going to lead to better trade deals? I believe it will. I think most people do. But there's always that concern, and markets don't like concern. And so if we're dealing with something that is creating concern, it's pretty normal for the market to step back and go, let's see how this plays out. And that's a bit of what I think is happening in regards to that. But if we like over the weekend, we had Mnuchin saying that they were very hopeful it wouldn't lead to any more trade tariffs going back and forth. And so that kind of hope coming out of this administration really, I think, will quiet the markets down quite a bit. I don't think anybody thinks it'll escalate, but there is that concern. Obviously, people are concerned, whether it's at Petzo Financial or the financial advisory planning industry, when you have this disruption. But y'all have had an incredible run for a while. I mean, look, amazing.
How does that work when you have, since the president has been elected, stocks have been up, I think, 40%, something of that. I'm sure you'll correct me if I'm wrong. And then you have a week of correction. And then it's down 6%. Can get all very confusing.
It can.
Net, I mean, if it's up, in my thoughts, if it's up 40%, you lose 6%, that's still a pretty good deal.
That's a really good deal, and people would always take that deal, right? That's an amazing deal.
Yes,
right, exactly. But but human nature is such that if you're a bear and you never participated, or you just screamed about how the world was ending for the last 10 years, then you haven't participated, and this is a glorifying moment for you. And so you hear a lot of noise from the bears whenever you get any corrections. We had it in 16, as I mentioned. This is the worst week we've had since 16. Well, 16 wasn't forever ago. We have bad weeks. when things happen. We have Brexit. We have all these problems that send markets down suddenly and severely for a day, a week, even longer. But this is periodically, and it's periodic and it's normal. But the bears come out and they get loud. The news feed has got to have stuff to talk about, and Stormy Davis just isn't enough, right? It's just we need to have more stuff.
Well,
and
you
so
seem to be fixated on Stormy here this morning. I've turned the channel a few times to kind of move away from Stormy.
On my way in, I heard you talking about
well,
Stormy, and I thought you did a great analysis, by the way.
You know something? You are correct. Once again, I'm happy to take direction and be corrected here this morning.
It was a great analysis. I liked it. I'm sure you guys will talk about it some more today.
At KIDO Talk Radio. Now, Dave Petzo's with us. He'll take your calls. This is your time. If you have a question about the markets and everything else, he loves to go one-on-one. You can catch him Saturdays, 8 to 10. But let's take a look at a couple other things.
Yeah.
A great article today in USA Today from the New York Auto Show. And who would have ever thought in our lifetime that this would be the headline? How the Nissan Altima, Toyota Camry, Honda Accord will survive the car plague. Jeff Manasso has told us, you've seen it on the roads, it's pickups and SUVs.
Yep.
Who would have ever thought that the sedan would be an endangered species? Not just here in the Treasure Valley, which I think is, again, you either drive a Subaru or you drive a pickup, it seems. But as most of us who have grown up with cars, your thoughts on the car plague, if you will.
Yeah, I think that this is really the whole car industry, to me, is in this fascinating mix of where are we going with autonomous, electric, the batteries, all of these things. That there's this amazing fight where we're going to see over the next 10 years, I think, most auto manufacturers going out of business because I think the technology is just taking off both on the electric as well as autonomous. And so as those things come together, and I know autonomous had a big setback here recently, obviously.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but here's this one, Dave Petzo.
Yeah.
The U.S. market share for sedans plummeted from 37.4% in 2013 to 27.5% in 2017. On the other hand, SUVs and crossover vehicles have gone from 32% to 43% during the same period. People love the SUVs. And again, I think you go to some other places, I think you see more sedans. But it is fascinating to me. You know, you go into the parking deck in downtown, and I don't know how they get those darn big pickups in there.
No.
And then you see them, they're so big that you almost can't even get by.
Right.
It's crazy how we're rewiring ourselves. But you believe that we're not only talking about getting rid of the sedan, but possibly manufacturing cars, car manufacturers?
Yeah, I do. They're already, as we know, Kevin, it's not been a good industry for a long, long time, right? The competition is so high that the margins just aren't there. And whenever we have an economic setback, car sales plunge, and then all of a sudden you have near bankruptcies. Oh, yeah, we did. You know, almost had, we had Government Motors taking money, right? And then we had Ford almost needing it. And this is after all of the other companies have been driven out of business and bought out. So we're talking about very few manufacturers that are left because of the intense competition. Now you add to it this shift over into electric and or you're shifting over into autonomous vehicles. I think you're going to see an even further shakeout for those that can't survive the technological challenge. I just think that it's changing very rapidly. There's a lot of debt, a lot of capital required, a lot of old labor union problems. That's why the industry is, I think, going to have a lot of turnover.
Well, one industry that seems to be doing well is fast food, and you'll love this. Are you a big fan of Carl's Jr. at all?
Well, in a way, because they're in your face about it. I'm a fan of theirs. Do I eat there? No, but I'm a fan of the fact that they're kind of in your face with the vegans, so to speak. I think that's funny. Right.
Well, Carl's Jr., it's funny because, you know, east of the Great River, they're Hardee's. Here, they're Carl's Jr.'s. They plan to rename its mini hamburger to honor Steven Spielberg. Getting ready for his new movie, Ready Player One, opens Thursday. They're calling it the Spielburgers. But when we talk about innovation in marketing, now I will tell you this. I am a teetotaler. Some would say a no-fun prude. I did not see the benefit of where they have the uber cosmetically appealing young lady that probably weighs less than the cheeseburger.
Correct.
Eating the cheeseburger. I didn't see the value in that.
Right.
But as you said, they are innovative when it comes to marketing. And here's another one, the Spielburger, which will get some buzz.
It will. It will. No, I think it's very I really think that it's interesting, too. And it's one of those things, Kevin, which I am going to be introducing this next week, is going to be
the
my no, yeah, Petcoin, now the burger. Right. We're moving on.
Right.
Just as, of course, a joke, is the offense of the week, right? Because we have a society that is offended with everything. We're looking for offenses, right? You go to college, and here I am. I'm looking for my offense. I want to know. I can go to an app, and I say, I went by a guy, and I think he was looking at my chest. I'm offended, and then off you go, even though I was in a halter top, right?
You were in a halter top, and a guy was looking at your chest.
So my point is all these offenses that are out there. It's Carl's Jr. is like, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put this in your face. You want a big, instead of following along that the McDonald's of the world are the evil devils, we're going to show you a dripping, massive burger that it will absolutely clog your arteries, but you want it.
In fact, they were braggadocious about it. I think they had the hamburger from a national chain with the most calories. So it is innovative how they're running the calorie.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
Finally, for this segment here, gunmaker Remington has filed for bankruptcy protection.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, I agree. In a gun-toting society like we have, and I don't mean that in a negative way or an offensive way. I'm trying not to offend everybody.
This new sensitive Dave Petso is so refreshing.
Isn't it working for you? Yes. And so I would just think with with all of the guns and all of the history that Remington has, they would survive. But it shows you in all industries, whether it's automobiles, guns, widgets, if you are not on the cutting edge, you're gone. And it doesn't matter what your name is or how popular your product is, because competition comes in. And if you're not meeting that competition, you will be run over.
Our friend Dave Petso. Coming up, we are going to talk about that setback with autonomous vehicles. Perhaps we'll be driving our cars and our trucks for quite some time, or maybe not. We'll get Dave Petso's thoughts on that and take your questions at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Is the president doing a good job with the money? We'll talk about that with Dave Petso next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. KIDO Talk Radio, Dave Petso with us. Kevin Miller in the morning as we continue on taking your phone calls at 580-5436. 580-KIDO. So the legislature is over. They're still waiting in town in case the governor vetoes something, because then they can rush back in and possibly override a veto, blah, 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 blah. Let's have a little review. We've got this big tax code where apparently would help large families by increasing the tax credit to $205. Would require an additional $25 million cut in revenue. The tax cuts are actions that will have the greatest effect on Idahoans, according to the statesman. Have you had a chance to look this over when you're taking a look at Idaho now being aligned with the federal code? The state would end up collecting an extra $119 million from taxpayers, primarily because of the exemptions for dependents being eliminated. So they offsetted that with this increasing the child tax cut. Your thoughts on this that was quarterbacked by House Majority Leader Mike Moyle. Your thoughts on this new tax cut? Remember they tried to do it last year, and somebody pulled the legislative jujitsu, Dave, and put in the grocery tax. It got through, and then the governor shot it down. So as a businessman who loves the Treasure Valley, an institution here, your thoughts on this tax cut?
Kevin, there's always things that people are going to poke holes at, and find offense in. And this is also a political season, right? I mean, it's a big time political season. Our new governor is going to be decided in May, and so this is a very big bill that people can jump on. But the reality is bringing a whole herd of cats together to make a decision is difficult to do. And my hat's off to the leadership that did it, and bringing this in alignment with the federal government, which is a phenomenal pro growth agenda and pro-jobs agenda is mandatory. It brings about additional revenue, but they're going to push some of it back. I think the balance was found. I really do. I have to say I'm pretty pleased with it.
Indeed. Our great friend Dave Petzo with us as we move along. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go back to the autonomous vehicles. Not good. See, to me, I don't know why we're rushing this technology.
Right.
Why not wait 5-10 years instead of trying to get this on the road? Look, remember, half the time our iPhones don't work. When you get the first generation, why mess with a vehicle?
Right. It's true. Kevin, it's a great point. But the reason that we have to get them on the road is exactly not because this person died. This is absolutely horrendous. But most of the time you're trying, like you have with Google, on many, many streets and roads to work out some of those bugs that are in the system. You have to take it out for real world stuff. You can't anticipate all the things that are going to happen or go wrong within the technology. So it is important that they have real life testing but it does feel like a rush. I agree with you completely, Kevin. We're not ready, and yet we're talking about autonomous like it's going to happen next year. And it's a great idea long term. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that we would not, that many, many fewer deaths would occur because of autonomous vehicles, even today, because human beings get distracted. We text, we do all kinds of crazy things and we don't have, hundreds of sensors all over our bodies to be able to see 360 degrees around us and to actually see around corners. These things can and do. So it is going to come about at some point, but it does feel like we are rushing towards it.
Our great friend Dave Petzo with us, traffic and weather together. Dave Petzo's with us as we continue on. So, Dave, let's get back to the high cost of energy. Gas prices are creeping up now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing a little pop in oil prices. Again, the global economy is pretty strong. And it is not the price of oil is not so high that they're putting too many holes in the ground right now. It's under pretty good control. OPEC is not over drilling. And in the United States, which is really has been controlling the price, contrary to all of our talk about OPEC, we control it because we're the marginal big producer. Meaning when prices are high, we put a lot of holes in the ground, we overproduce. Right now, most companies can't find the money, don't want to find the money, spend the money to drill too many holes, so we are in a really good spot for both the consumer and energy companies in this country. And yes, that's caused a little bit of a creep up. We're back in the mid-60s for oil prices now, and that, of course, is the main cost other than taxes to a gallon of gas.
Right, but you see that all the time. So you're saying these companies have become more efficient in scaling things back. But could we see somebody, let's say Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Iran, flood the market once again, or even Russia or Mexico, and then boom, we're back up to it? It's almost like, okay, there are certain things that you can always expect from me with you. China, home values in the Treasure Valley, and energy. The idea that we are self-sufficient here.
Yes.
I think most consumers would say, then why don't we have gas artificially cheaper, like $2 a gallon all the time? Why is it, continuing to creep up, considering the cost of energy is obtaining energy, as you said, is getting lower? It
is getting lower, Kevin. It's a great point, but that is only part of the whole system, right? We have got, excuse me. We've got minimal pipelines in this country. And as far as how many refineries have we been able to build in the last 30 years, the answer is negative.
And actually, we're closing them. But even then, as you've pointed out, Dave Petzo, the champion of private industry and big business, how efficient these older refineries have become.
They have. And they are very efficient. In fact, to the point that we can actually export some gas. Although we do import some, on the other hand, it's a real mixed-up market. But the point is that we do not have the refinery capacity to say, let's turn everything over to gasoline. My opinion on this is that, Kevin, we should have been going and should run headlong into natural gas because we are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas, and it is like at $2 and $3. It can't seem to go above $3 even in the winter.
Right.
So natural gas would be the natural thing to go to. We could easily do that, but we do have, as far as your point, is that gasoline is constrained by refineries and pipelines. We just don't have enough pipelines to various parts of the country. It further is taxed to death in various places, especially liberal bastions, because what they like to do is that they like to make sure that they make the point that cars are evil, cars are bad, and it needs to be really, really expensive to drive one, because that's what's going to drive technology, would be their argument.
Our great friend Dave Petzo with us, Kevin Miller in the morning here as we continue on. But back to energy. You know, you talk about natural gas, but people would have to, embrace that. You have a lot of businesses.
Yep.
You and I are a fan of the movie Tucker.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm making a gasoline-powered engine, I'm not going to be in favor of switching something over, no matter if it's good for the consumer or not. Look at the problem your boy Tesla's having. Apparently, Mr. Musk got another $2 billion last week.
$3 billion actually. I think.
$3 billion.
Yeah.
I just love being corrected. Thank you, Dave Petzo. But you bring up a good topic when we're talking about the infrastructure. And Donald Trump brought this up. Now, you're a world traveler. You travel the world. A lot of times when you're vacationing with Buffett or Paul Allen, which you never talk about, and I'm totally making that up. We talk about the other airports, the infrastructures of some of these newer countries, but, we're relatively new here, but, our city, but you take a look at Chicago or New York and, the idea of rebuilding that infrastructure, including more pipelines. Somebody said, if you cut off the pipeline to Salt Lake, from Salt Lake here, we're pretty much done. Okay.
Precisely.
If I'm Governor Petzo, I'm building like 75 pipelines here.
Right. There should be more.
Right.
That's right. At the very least, we may not want to build them, right? But I'm certainly not going to block them. I'm certainly not going to create red tape that makes it 10 years in a planning process to even begin to put a shovel in the ground, because technology and the world is now past that opportunity by.
Right.
So again, that's where a governor can come in and say, we don't have to pay for this. Let's let private industry, but we can make it so it's not hard for them to do.
Yes. We'll see how that plays out. Any other thoughts on the governor's race?
No, Kevin, I really want to hear. We're getting close enough now. We should be getting into a tussle, but I want to know why, again, I like everybody else, to me, I don't want to have a personality race. I want to know why a particular candidate, I want to vote for them. I want to hear what their real agenda is. Let me know. Let me know what it is. Where they really stand on different issues. And I think that would be. I think that whoever does that is going to be our winner. Why should I be governor? There are a bunch of good candidates here. Why one over the others?
Dave Petzo, we always appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you, Kevin. Great work here. Thank you.
All right, Dave Petzo, Saturdays 8 to 10, only here on KIDO Talk Radio and the Outrage of the Week.
Coming up next week.
All right.
My offense of the week.
Once again, proudly taking direction.
I'm offended now already.
The ever new sensitive Dave Petzo, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning. Why did you sign it?
Because they made it sound like I had no choice.
I mean, no one was putting a gun to your head.
Not physical violence, no.
You thought that there would be some sort of legal repercussion if you didn't sign it.
Correct. As a matter of fact, the exact sentence used was, they can make your life hell in many different ways.
They being?
I'm not exactly sure who they were. I believe it to be Michael Cohen.
See what happens if you were, I don't know, doing something else last night, not watching 60 Minutes. The big Stormy Daniels interview rolling. Kevin Miller in the morning here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
And this was not a secret. He never asked me not to tell anyone. He called several times when I was in front of many people, and I'd be like, oh, my God, he's calling. And people like, shut up, the Donald? And I put him on speakerphone, and he wanted to know what I was up to and when can we get together again. I just want to give you a quick update. We had a meeting. It went great. It's going to be spectacular. They're totally into the idea. And I was like, that part I never believed.
Yeah, so looking at this interview last night, or maybe you watched Homeland, maybe you watched Billions, maybe you read a book. what I think of this, and I can't wait to hear what Dan Gaynor has to think this week from the Media Research Center or our friend Lars Larson. But I will tell you this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, that when we're looking at this interview and hearing what this woman had to say, okay, look, we can judge people on what they do in their personal lives, and some people will do it at the ballot box, and I think they did that in November of 2016. What bothers me is the press continues to take sides with this. You heard that clip that Sean Hannity had last week. Stormy Daniels. And it was, they were salivating, thinking, oh, we've got him this time. No, they didn't. Now, there might be an issue concerning a payment, but besides that, I mean, Anderson Cooper, he reminds me of that person at work that comes in and goes, hey, did you hear what Sally did? Did you hear what Timmy did? Just a gossip. Anderson, get on with your own life. How would anybody like that if someone asked those questions about somebody's life and relationship? And where were these people during the Clinton years? Where were they during Paula Jones, Juanita Broderick, Catherine Willey? We could go on and on with that, right? And that's why people, and I'm sure Sean and Lars will talk more about this later, that's why people are so turned off by the media. When you have, Anderson Cooper asking, well, what was it like? What did you do? It's not a news magazine. It's not even Access Hollywood.
Because people are just saying whatever they wanted to say about me, I was perfectly fine saying nothing at all.
Now, wait a minute. Stormy, you're an exotic dancer. You do exotic dancing things. You have to have a thick skin to do that line of work, right? And you signed a non-disclosure agreement. To me, this is nothing more than something to try and distract and derail the president with. Now, we can all decide what should happen to him. But is this really up to the standards of 60 Minutes? If Trump were a Democrat, would this story even get any oxygen? 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
But I'm not okay with being made out to be a liar or people thinking that I did this for money. And people are like, oh,
You're right. You're right, Stormy. You're right. Obviously, your ethical code as a adult entertainer in the pornography industry, you have to have a good reputation to be in pornography. Stormy, you have to have, look, I've never met anybody in the pornography industry. We won't say adult entertainment. I've never met a pornographer before. But they only get the people with the highest moral standards in pornography. I'm sure, just like lawyers and just like the press, they only get the highest. When if you had to do a bar of who has more ethics and morals and integrity, pornographers are right up there, aren't they? This is another attack on the American family. I love this. The faux outrage continues. I can recall many years ago when I was on CNN debating someone, I said, look, the phony outrage, the faux outrage just has to go. This is not a story, and if Trump were a Democrat, it would be a non-issue. Anything to discredit or to disrupt this man, which means he's right over the target. But I love this. Well, they're lying about me. I'm sure you've never been called a name, right? I'm sure you've never been called a name in your industry. It's like being a talk show host. If you go after people, you can't sit back and go, oh, my feelings are hurt when somebody calls me a name, because you call, if you can't dish it out, if you can't take it, don't dish it out, right?
But tell me one person who would turn down a job offer making more than they've been making, doing the same thing that they've always done.
Well, it depends on what's for sale, ma'am.
He's like, wow, you are special. You remind me of my daughter. He's like, you're smart, beautiful, and a woman to be reckoned with. I like you. I like you.
There we have it. Your thoughts on Stormy and the Donald. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And I love how all of a sudden Robert Mueller is going to jump in here because, the independent prosecutor needs to know this. How about this? Mind your own business, you bunch of gossips. And, of course, you'll have people that will make fun of Donald Trump. They'll do their little shtick. and that's what they do. But here, we live our gimmick. Here, again, we don't play the stuff that could hurt families because we're honored when people and their children listen to this program, and we'll never disappoint you. That's our vow at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. But my goodness gracious, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, and then you say you're offended. Are you proud of what you do for a living? There you go again, Kevin Miller, attacking the victim. Well, no, at least I'm not Anderson Cooper. Nosy Anderson. By the way, I always wondered about Anderson Cooper, who is openly out. Did it ever really bother Anderson that many people during his youth, many young ladies, had his mom's name on the back of their derrieres? You remember that, Ray Amaya? You remember that, Gloria Vanderbilt? Those were popular in our day. Those jeans. I'm reaching. Okay. Let's go to the phones. Thankfully, Christian will save me from this segment. From Weezer at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
Okay, and how are you?
Upright and breathing, so not bad. So you're speaking about Anderson Cooper in the interview. Did you hear that he actually might be getting replaced?
Anderson Cooper?
Yeah, they're going to replace him. They're looking to, I think, Jerry Springer. Because they've got the formula in place, CNN. So, yeah, I think that's in the works probably.
Well, or Geraldo or something of that nature.
Well, yeah, I think they'd do best with Jerry Springer. I mean, they've got all the integrity of a Jerry Springer show anymore. So, yeah, I think that would work out just fine.
Well,
of course, then the ratings would go up. So,
I suppose. What do you make of all this?
It's like you're saying. It is absolutely 100%. They keep losing their grip on all the things they try and throw at him, and so they just grasping for other things. I mean, like you said, if he was a Democrat, never would have happened, or it wouldn't have been like a huge build-up and CNN and the stormy interview. It's what they do. And they're still trying. And I don't know why or how they believe they can actually accomplish it, but doesn't look like they're ever going to give up. And I guarantee you she's getting paid a lot of money for that interview.
Christian, anything else?
Keep up the good work, man. God bless you, and God help all of us.
God save the Republic. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah.
All right. More of your phone calls next. Hang on. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And let's go to Hank. Hank, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning. I heard a broadcast through your first hour, which I hadn't heard before because my pocket radio busted on me, so I kind of wasn't able to listen to the show. But Pittsburgh Radio, KDKA, was the original station that broadcast, the commercial broadcasting station, and it broadcasted the Harding Cox race, presidential race in 1920 and it was owned at that time by Westinghouse, which was trying to strengthen its patent position in terms of radio transmission. And it was when it broadcast in November 2nd, 1920, it was using the temporarily assigned amateur signal 8ZZ as its call signal, and it wasn't until later it went to the 1020, I think.
Right. I worked there, so I know all about KDKA.
Okay, I didn't know for sure if that was the exact station you worked there or not. But
I was recruited and worked there, and there was a whole big brouhaha over that. But we live here, and if I had stayed there and President Obama hadn't got me fired, I wouldn't have met you. So please go ahead, Hank.
Okay. And of course, it's now owned, of course, by CBS. But
sure.
At any rate, getting to the woman involved, the difference is that the news radio media took the position of being skeptical about particularly Paula Jones's claims and claims, by other women, and was only very reluctantly even covered these stories. Where in the story with Trump, you notice that
they
automatically
attacked Paula Jones is what they did.
Yeah, they attacked Paula Jones in particular, and they didn't and they give this person who has even less credibility instant what you call instant justification. In other words, that they consider it totally credible, and I think again and then of course it's kind of really rich that they claimed at the time of the conservative talk show hosts and people like that were using their political bias to credit these women who had reason to be discredited. And of course, subsequent events showed that Clinton indeed engaged in these things. And and of course, they won't recognize their own particular bias in terms of covering these allegations. I mean, that's just the story of we talk about media bias, but really it should be hyper partisan Democrat media.
Well, what do you make of Stormy?
I think that Stormy is in for money and maybe a book deal, but I think primarily it's a quick chance to make some money. I think that's her motivation.
Do you find her credible?
No.
All right, Hank.
That might be my bias. It might be my bias showing through, but I just don't find that. And like I said, it's just typical of the news media in general.
Hank, thank you for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to Common Sense Ken with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Ken.
Hey, Kevin. Listen, I agree with you 90% of the time. I love your show. You are so wrong on impact fees. You made the statement they're not welcoming. If 5% didn't come because of that, so what? Why should the taxpayer like me and you pay for the infrastructure, accommodate these wealthy people moving from California, etc., with hundreds of thousands of dollars equity, and they would object to a 10% or a $10,000 impact fee, pay for the infrastructure, schools, the roads, the lighting, the water, etc. And boy, you couldn't have been more wrong. And I'd like your comment.
I don't know when I have come out against impact fees.
Yeah, you said they weren't welcoming.
When did I say that?
A couple shows ago.
Well, they aren't welcoming, but we have to do something. That's where I'm at.
They're not welcoming. What can you do short of getting the tax load off of me?
What can I do to get it comes down to who you're going to elect to be governor and the legislature.
Well, it comes down to how wrong you are.
I think you've established that. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to say that I'm wrong again for the third or fourth time? Maybe some people would find that entertaining. Look, I mean, we can agree to disagree. Something has to be done. I'm not going to get defensive. Look, I've got to take the criticism. So the impact fees aren't welcoming, but something has to be done. You're right, because people are losing out. People in Idaho, where they've lived here a long time, can't afford homes because you have people from California coming in and, big money offers, getting people out of their homes and taking over. And if you like that, then don't do anything about it. If you do, it's time to get in the face of your local elected officials because that's what they ran for, right?
Well, I'd like to try, except I'm stuck in bed. But I agree with you 90% of the time, but I appreciate you taking good criticism and owning up to it, and that's why your show is as good as it is. And you're going to get more and more listeners.
Well, I appreciate you, sir, and hold me accountable, Ken. I have to take it, and I appreciate your insight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Traffic and weather together, KIDO Talk Radio. And Larry, thank you very much. Coming up, the Impact Hour. What is that? I don't know. It just sounded good. Lars Larson, Michael Snyder in studio next with Kevin Miller. KIDO Talk Radio, good morning.